Hello， 大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。Disney's live-action remake of the 1937 classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarves has absolutely bombed at the Chinese box office on its opening weekend, with even worse performance than Disney's other controversial live-action remake, The Little Mermaid, showing that Chinese audiences have little time to entertain the West's excessive pushing of politically correct content. And they did not hold back, with the few Chinese who did see the film expressing their very honest opinions online, with netizens calling out Disney's blatant political correctness and asking if the magic mirror is blind. Today we'll take a look at Snow White's absolute and unmitigated failure here in China. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. First of all, I have to state that I don't make a habit of eating shit. However, I did go to see Snow White. That was the beginning of a Chinese movie influencer's review on Weibo yesterday after Snow White, which simultaneously bombed around the world over the weekend, crashed and burned at the Chinese box office, despite Disney pushing hard to make the controversial live-action remake a success here. Despite opening on the Chinese mainland with 34,000 screens on Friday, the film only managed to rake in less than US $900,000, an average of about $25 per screen over its opening weekend. That means Snow White is predicted to make just $1.62 million in total from Chinese cinemas, less than half of The Little Mermaid's overall $3.65 million. In other words, an absolute unmitigated disaster for Disney, who reportedly spent around $300 million producing the film. As a good reporter, I went to check it out myself yesterday here in Shanghai. Now, including myself and my friend, the entire IMAX cinema had just 5 audience members. And that is despite Disney going all out in their promotion of the film here in China. There was even a poster in the elevator at my apartment complex. Despite this new version of Snow White bombing in the West over its lead actress Rachel Zegler, trashing the original 1937 version, telling half of the US who voted for Trump that she hopes they never see peace, and basically acting like an ungrateful, petulant child, Chinese audiences had other reasons for rejecting the film. Global Times, in an article titled "Cultural Disconnect Hurts Snow White Remake," said that Chinese audiences were more concerned with the film's casting choices and wondered why Disney even had to remake the 1937 classic to begin with. They wrote, "Casting Rachel Zegler, a US actress of Colombian descent, while progressive in terms of diversity, has triggered a cultural disconnect that Chinese moviegoers see as a deviation of the story's foundational imagery." The article continues, "Disney's live-action remakes are often heavily influenced by political correctness. The move to change Snow White's origin stories from having skin as white as snow to surviving a blizzard when she was born to promote inner beauty over physical appearance has confused many viewers." And Chinese netizens who went to watch the film on the weekend didn't hold back in their reviews online. One Weibo user wrote, "It's fine if there's a dark-skinned Ariel, but now there's a brown-skinned Snow White. Have you ever thought about why she was called Snow White? Go away, Snow White." Another added, "Disney, your excessive political correctness will really backfire." This netizen sighed, "Disney's political correctness. Is the magic mirror blind?" Victory pointed out the obvious. Snow White is not white anymore. And this viewer was particularly upset. When I was 6 years old, I watched the 1937 version of Snow White at least 60 times. It was the first Disney animation I watched. So when I watched this live-action movie 88 years later with great expectations, I felt as if I'd eaten a poisoned apple. Gal Gadot was jealous of Snow White, who was as black as a piece of coal. Prince Charming was deleted and changed into a thief. The number of Black and Asian citizens and guard actors was too high. Ouch. Now, some people in the West might be shocked at the backlash against Disney's casting choice of Colombian actress Rachel Zegler in the role of Snow White. But it's important to remember that China is completely separate from the hideous race issues and race history in the United States in particular. As one netizen commented, "Will I go to see a woke movie? Chinese people didn't discriminate or enslave black people, nor did they racially segregate them. Wokeness is your business. You can't use that gimmick here in China." The Global Times puts it even more eloquently. Disney's adaptation strategy, which emphasizes multiculturalism for universal appeal, faces rejection in different cultural contexts. What Chinese audiences are rejecting is not multiculturalism, but superficial cultural deconstruction devoid of sincerity. It exposes the fragility of Hollywood's one-size-fits-all approach to diversity, particularly in markets like China, where audiences increasingly reject ideological imports that lack local nuance. And I tend to agree. The cultural issues facing the United States today, and particularly when it comes to race relations, are in most ways only relevant to the context of the United States. Like that netizen pointed out, China doesn't have the same embarrassing history of enslaving and segregating African Americans. So infusing American films with plot and casting choices that aim to artificially correct that history will only fail when consumed in different political and cultural contexts. And that should be even clearer today, with the Snow White remake's shocking performance in China being a clear sign to Disney executives. China doesn't want to consume your political guilt when they buy a ticket to see a movie and escape from reality for a couple of hours. Surely the $25 average ticket sales per cinema over its 3-day opening weekend here in China is evidence enough. And on that note, that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Were you surprised that the Snow White remake tanked here in China? And have you seen the film? Let me know down below. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.